Alien trainer laughed at the human recruit until the beast obeyed him. HFY Sci-Fi Stories. The transport ship slowed as it reached the outer edge of the training station. The station floated above a red gas giant, its metal surface marked by scars from past battles and experiments. Inside the ship, dozens of recruits sat in silence. They came from many worlds, each one stronger, faster, or more dangerous than the last. Among them sat a single human. His name was Evan. He was not tall compared to the others. His arms were not covered in thick scales or hardened plates. He had no claws, no glowing eyes, no natural weapons. He wore the same plain training uniform as everyone else, but on him it looked thinner, weaker. Several recruits glanced at him and then looked away, already deciding he would not last long. When the ship docked, the doors opened with a heavy hiss. The smell of metal, chemicals, and living creatures filled the air. Loud footsteps echoed as the recruits were ordered out. Waiting for them were the trainers. They were veterans of many systems, chosen for their cruelty as much as their skill. One trainer stood at the front, taller than the rest, with dark skin like stone and eyes that never blinked. His mouth curled into something close to a smile, but there was no warmth in it. He scanned the group slowly, letting the silence stretch. "So these are the new recruits," he said. His voice was rough and deep. "This cycle looks disappointing." A few alien recruits straightened their posture, offended but silent. His gaze stopped on Evan. The trainer stepped closer, towering over the human. "This one," the trainer said, pointing. "What species is this?" Another trainer checked a slate. "Human. From a small blue planet." The tall trainer laughed. It was loud and sharp, echoing through the hangar. Other trainers joined in. Some recruits laughed too. "A human," the tall trainer said. "I thought they stopped sending pets here." Evan said nothing. He kept his eyes forward, his face calm. Inside, his heart was beating fast, but he had learned long ago not to show fear. Fear was something predators understood too well. The recruits were led through long metal halls into the main training complex. Along the walls were thick glass chambers. Inside them moved shapes that made even the strongest recruits slow their steps. Massive creatures paced, roared, or struck the walls. Some had too many legs. Others had mouths filled with rotating teeth. A few watched silently with eyes far too intelligent. "This program is simple," the tall trainer said as they walked. "You will learn to control beasts used for war, labor, and execution. Fail, and you will be replaced. Succeed, and you may live long enough to be useful." They stopped in a wide chamber with a raised platform in the center. A single containment gate stood on one side, reinforced with thick energy bars. Warning lights flashed above it. The trainer turned to the recruits. "We will begin with a demonstration." His eyes returned to Evan. "You," he said, "step forward." A low murmur moved through the group. Evan stepped onto the platform. He could feel dozens of eyes on him, some filled with curiosity, most filled with expectation of blood. The trainer circled him slowly. "Humans are known for words," he said. "Talking, thinking, making excuses. But here, only control matters." He tapped a control pad. The lights above the containment gate changed from blue to red. "This creature has rejected every handler," the trainer continued. "It has broken bones, crushed armor, and torn flesh. Strong species failed. Smart species failed." The gate began to rise. Evan swallowed once, then steadied his breathing. From the darkness behind the gate, something moved. Heavy footsteps shook the floor. A massive shape emerged, covered in thick hide marked with old scars. Its head was low, its eyes bright and focused. Long limbs ended in blunt but powerful claws. Its breath came out in deep, rumbling huffs. The beast was not screaming or thrashing. It was calm. That made it worse. Several recruits took a step back. The trainer laughed again. "Let us see how long a human lasts." The gate slammed shut behind the beast. Evan stood alone on the platform with it. The creature's eyes locked onto him. For a moment, neither moved. Evan felt the weight of the air, the sound of his own breathing inside his ears. He could feel the floor vibrating slightly under the beast's stance. He did not raise his hands. He did not shout. He did not run. He remembered something his grandfather once told him, back on Earth, when Evan was still a boy. Animals fear what they do not understand, but they fear calm even more. The beast took one step forward. The trainers leaned in. Some activated recording devices. This would be useful footage, they thought. Proof of what happened when weak species overreached. Another step. The beast lowered its head slightly, muscles tightening. Evan slowly lowered himself, bending his knees just enough to change his height. He kept his movements smooth and slow. His eyes stayed on the creature, not as a challenge but as awareness. The beast paused. A few trainers frowned. "That is strange," one muttered. The tall trainer scoffed. "It is waiting to strike." Evan shifted his weight, placing his feet more firmly on the ground. He adjusted his breathing, making it deeper, slower. He let the tension flow out of his shoulders. The beast tilted its head. It sniffed the air. Evan could feel the heat of its breath now. He could smell it, sharp and earthy. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to run. He ignored it. The beast took another step, then stopped again. The silence stretched. The tall trainer's smile faded. "Why is it hesitating?" The beast's tail moved once, slow and controlled. Its eyes flicked briefly to the trainers behind the glass, then back to Evan. Evan did something no handler had done before. He turned slightly to the side. It was a small movement, but it changed everything. He was no longer facing the beast head-on. He was no longer a challenge. The beast let out a low sound. Not a roar, not a growl. Something closer to a question. Evan raised one hand, palm open, fingers relaxed. He kept it low, not reaching for the beast, only letting it see. Time seemed to slow. One trainer whispered, "This is impossible." The beast stepped closer, until it was so near that a single movement could end Evan's life. Evan did not move. The beast lowered its head further. The tall trainer's eyes widened slightly. "That is enough," he said. "End this." Before the order could be carried out, the beast did something no one expected. It sat down. The sound of its weight hitting the platform echoed through the chamber. The recruits gasped. The trainers stared in silence. Evan remained still, his hand still open, his breathing steady. The beast looked at him, then slowly lowered its head to the floor. The chamber was silent, except for the hum of the lights. The tall trainer's laughter was gone. And somewhere deep inside the station, unseen systems began to record something that would change how the galaxy viewed humans. Forever. The chamber was still after the beast lowered its head. A heavy silence filled the air. The trainers behind the glass looked at each other, their usual confidence shaken. They were used to creatures obeying only force, only fear, but not calm. The human on the platform was calm. And somehow, the beast was too. Evan kept his stance steady. His eyes never left the creature. The platform under him vibrated slightly as the massive animal shifted its weight. Its claws left shallow marks on the metal surface, and its tail flicked once, slowly. Evan could feel the rhythm of its breathing and began matching it with his own. He did not try to dominate it, did not shout commands, and did not make sudden moves. The alien trainers whispered among themselves. "This is unusual," one said, his voice tense. "No one has ever made it stop before." "Perhaps it senses weakness," another replied, though his tone was uncertain. "Or maybe it knows the human cannot harm it." The tall trainer, the one who laughed at Evan before, narrowed his eyes. He crossed his arms, watching closely. His confidence had not completely vanished, but it was shaken. "It will attack," he said softly, almost to himself. "It always attacks." Evan took a slow step to the side, barely moving, just enough to shift his balance. The beast followed, its movements smooth, and it did not rush, did not lunge. It was studying him, and he was studying it. Neither wanted to make the first mistake. The other recruits watched with wide eyes. Some were afraid, some were curious, but all were learning something they had not expected. Humans had always been underestimated here, considered fragile and unfit for handling dangerous beasts. Yet, Evan stood on the platform unshaken, commanding no attention, and yet the most dangerous creature in the chamber obeyed a rhythm he set. The beast lowered its head even further, almost touching the platform. Its nostrils flared as it sniffed the air around Evan. The human breathed slowly, exhaling in a controlled manner. The beast's eyes blinked, but it did not look away. Slowly, it sat back on its haunches, its massive body shaking slightly from the weight. It made a low rumbling sound, not aggressive, but deep and resonant. Evan tilted his head slightly, as if acknowledging the sound. A trainer muttered, "It is listening, somehow. It is listening." The tall trainer shook his head. "Impossible. It should not recognize a human as anything. It should attack." Evan's hand moved slightly, the tip of his fingers brushing the platform. It did not reach for the beast, did not gesture toward it, yet the animal reacted. It shifted closer, its huge head moving in a smooth arc, stopping just before his outstretched hand. Its eyes, large and amber, locked with his. The silence stretched again, filled with tension, and the alien observers could barely breathe. One of the younger recruits whispered to another, "He's not doing anything." How is it not attacking? The second recruit shook his head. I don't know. Maybe humans are stronger than we thought. Evan's mind worked quickly. He understood instinct, movement, and fear. He understood that domination through strength was predictable. The beast expected fear. It expected panic. And yet, he showed none. That made him unpredictable, and the beast responded to unpredictability because it was intelligent. Not many species had survived long enough to see this. Humans had. The beast took another step forward, then paused again. It sniffed, shifted, and made another low rumble. Evan did not move his hand, but relaxed his shoulders. He exhaled slowly, the sound almost blending with the rumble of the beast. The alien trainers leaned forward, tense. They were beginning to understand something they had never considered. A female trainer, smaller and more patient than the others, whispered, "It is curious. Not afraid, not angry." "It is curious," the tall trainer scoffed. "Curious? That is a mistake. It will strike at any moment." Evan tilted his head to the side. He noticed the creature's claws left tiny scratches on the platform as it adjusted its weight. He noticed its breathing, the tiny movements in its tail, the flicker in its eyes. He did not feel fear. He felt attention. The beast was waiting for him to act, not as a master, not as a threat, but as something it could understand. Time stretched. The other recruits could not look away. Some stepped closer to the glass, holding their breath. They had seen creatures die in this chamber. They had seen trainers fail, and they had seen humans fail. But now, one human stood calm, and the most dangerous beast obeyed his silent rhythm. The beast lowered its massive head onto its front paws. The platform shuddered under its weight. Evan's hand hovered near its snout, not touching it, not threatening it. The creature's eyes flicked to him, then to the tall trainer. It made a short, deep rumble, almost like a question. The tall trainer's face changed. His lips moved, but no sound came out. He had not expected this. He had thought fear was universal. He had thought strength was universal. But he was beginning to understand that humans did not follow the same rules. Evan stepped slightly closer, moving with care. His hand remained relaxed, his body calm. The beast's ears twitched, its tail moved slowly, and it rose slightly onto its paws. Its eyes were fixed on him. It did not attack, it did not retreat, it waited. One of the younger trainers whispered, "Is it obeying him?" The female trainer nodded slowly. Not obeying, responding, listening. Evan took another step forward. He spoke in a soft voice, low and steady, almost like a song. He did not shout. He did not command. He spoke to it not as a master, but as an equal. The creature's eyes widened slightly. Its tail stopped moving. It tilted its head again, and then, almost imperceptibly, it lowered itself onto the platform again. The platform shook as it settled. The alien trainers were frozen. They could not believe what they were seeing. A human, the weakest species here, had tamed the most dangerous beast in the station. Not with weapons, not with force, but with calm, patience, and understanding. Evan did not celebrate. He did not smile. He only adjusted his breathing and watched. He knew the beast could attack at any moment if he made the wrong move. And he knew the trainers were watching, ready to intervene with energy whips, tranquilizers, and weapons. The tall trainer finally spoke, his voice low and dangerous. "Step back, remove it from the platform." Evan's eyes did not leave the beast. He did not flinch. The creature's head rose slightly. It sniffed the air again, and then moved a tiny step closer to him. Not aggressive. Not threatening. Curious. Respectful, almost. The other recruits whispered excitedly behind the glass. "I have never seen anything like this," one said. "He is controlling it without touching it. Humans are different," another replied. The tall trainer's lips curled into a grim line. "Different is dangerous," he muttered. Evan tilted his head slightly, watching the beast's muscles ripple under its hide. He could feel its tension, its strength, its intelligence. This was not a wild animal. This was a predator, a killing machine. Yet it was responding to him. The thought struck him sharply. No matter how dangerous it was, fear would make it attack. Calm would make it listen. He moved his hand slightly, brushing the air above the platform. The beast flinched at first, then leaned in, matching the movement with a slow nod. The trainers were frozen. This was not training, this was something new. Something they had never seen. Evan spoke again, softly. "I am not your enemy," he said. "I will not hurt you." The beast's eyes narrowed, studying him. Then, slowly, it lowered its head completely, touching the platform with its massive snout. Its tail wrapped slightly around its body. It sat there, calm, completely calm, the female trainer whispered. "It is accepting him, not as a master, but as A companion. The tall trainer's hands clenched into fists. "This is a mistake," he said. "No human should ever survive here." Evan remained still. He could feel the heat from the beast's body, the power beneath its hide, and he understood something important. Fear was universal, but so was respect. And in this moment he had earned both, not by dominance, but by understanding. A few of the recruits pressed their faces against the glass. They had never seen a human survive a test like this. They had never seen a human earn the attention of a beast. They began to understand why humans were underestimated, why they were feared in ways few species admitted. The beast's eyes flicked to the tall trainer and then back to Evan. There was no threat. There was no challenge. Only recognition. The tall trainer stepped back, realizing that whatever had just happened could not be undone. The human recruit had survived where every other species had failed, and not only survived, but he had made the impossible look simple. Evan breathed slowly, keeping his calm. The platform beneath him was scarred, the beast's claws leaving marks, but he did not care. This was not about scars or strength. This was about something deeper, something the alien trainers did not understand, patience, understanding, and courage that did not show in muscle or weapon. The chamber was quiet, except for the hum of the lights and the slow breathing of the beast. Evan remained on the platform, his eyes watching, his mind alert. He knew this was only the beginning. There were stronger tests ahead, deadlier creatures, and trainers who would not accept what they had just witnessed. But for now, the beast obeyed him, and that was enough. Evan stayed on the platform, the beast at his side, breathing slowly and watching him with intelligent eyes. The trainers behind the glass whispered among themselves, unable to hide the shock in their voices. None of them had ever seen a human handle a creature like this, let alone without weapons or force. The tall trainer's jaw tightened. He stepped back, muttering to himself, "It should be dead already. It should be tearing him apart." Evan did not look at the trainer. He was focused entirely on the beast. He could feel its power beneath the thick hide, the twitching of its muscles, and the movement of its claws against the metal platform. Every step, every movement, every breath the creature made was a signal, and Evan had learned to read them all in an instant. A younger recruit, watching from the glass, whispered to another, "Do you see that? He's not commanding it, but it's following him anyway." The other recruit shook his head. "I've never seen anything like this. Humans, they're strange." Evan slowly lowered his hand toward the beast's head. He did not touch it. He only let his fingers hover just above its snout. The beast blinked, then lowered its head slightly closer, as if acknowledging him. The tall trainer stepped forward, his voice rising. "Stop this. Remove him from the platform. This human cannot survive another moment with that creature." Evan did not move. He did not even flinch. The beast, sensing no fear, remained calm. It shifted slightly, moving closer to him, not threatening but curious. The trainers behind the glass exchanged worried glances. They had seen strong species, smart species, and clever species fail in this exact spot. They had never seen one survive, much less earn the attention of the beast. A female trainer whispered, "It's learning from him." Not obeying. Learning. The tall trainer's hands clenched into fists. He did not like what he was seeing. He had laughed at this human, thought him weak, thought him foolish. Now every step Evan took, every breath he exhaled, seemed to command the room in a way the trainer could not control. Evan tilted his head slightly, observing the beast. It shifted its weight, its tail moving slowly along the platform. He remembered something he had learned from old Earth records, stories of hunters and herders. Patience, respect, calm. The beast had no memory of these lessons, but it could feel the rhythm. It could sense that Evan did not intend to harm it. Slowly, Evan took another step toward the beast. Its massive head followed his movement. He did not raise his hand higher. He did not shout. He only moved calmly, smoothly, deliberately. The creature mirrored him, inch by inch, step by step. One of the younger trainers whispered, "It's like it understands him, like it knows he won't hurt it." The female trainer nodded. "It's recognizing something no one else ever has. It's recognizing respect." Evan's hand moved slightly, brushing the air in front of the beast's eyes. The beast lowered its head even more, until it was almost resting against the platform. Its eyes were wide and focused, studying him. Its tail stopped moving. Its ears twitched in careful attention. The tall trainer's face turned red with anger. "Remove him! Now! He has no right to be here." Evan's voice broke the silence, soft and steady. "You don't need to fight. You don't need to strike. You only need to see me." The beast blinked slowly. Its massive head moved slightly closer. Its snout nearly touched Evan's hand, but he did not move. He only let his fingers hover there, feeling the warmth of its breath. The trainers were frozen. They had weapons ready, controls ready, but none dared to act. Something in the room had changed. A human had done what no one had ever done before. The beast moved again, shifting its weight so that it sat more comfortably on its haunches. Its amber eyes never left Evan. It made a low, deep rumble, like a question. Evan tilted his head slightly, and the beast rumbled again, slower this time, almost approvingly. A recruit whispered, "I think it's listening to him." Evan nodded ever so slightly. He understood that this was more than just obedience. The creature was not being forced into submission. It was choosing to respond, choosing to recognize him. And that was far more powerful than any weapon. He slowly crouched, keeping his movements calm and controlled. The beast mirrored him, lowering its massive body toward the platform. Its tail wrapped slightly around its legs, its ears flicking to catch the sound of every breath. Evan's hand hovered just above its snout. He did not touch it. He did not command it. He only allowed it to feel that he meant no harm. The tall trainer's voice was shaking now. "It shouldn't be doing this. Humans are weak. They cannot survive, yet it listens?" The female trainer shook her head slowly. "It's not listening because it is weak. It's listening because it senses something different. Something calm, something fearless." Evan took another slow step closer, his hand brushing the air just above the beast's snout. Its eyes widened slightly, studying him. It leaned closer, lowering its massive head until it almost rested on the platform beside his hand. The other recruits gasped. Some pressed their faces against the glass, unable to believe what they were seeing. This human, small and frail compared to the other species, had made the impossible look easy. He had tamed the beast, not by force, not by threat, but by being calm, patient, and fearless. Evan spoke softly again. "I am not your enemy. I will not hurt you. You can trust me." The beast blinked slowly. Its massive head moved slightly, pressing closer. Its rumble grew softer, almost approving. The trainers behind the glass were silent. They could not understand it. They had never trained humans to this level. They'd never seen anything like this. The female trainer whispered, "It's recognizing him as a partner, not a threat." Evan's breathing was slow and steady. He moved his hand slightly, letting it hover just above the beast's massive head. The beast shifted its weight, resting more comfortably on its haunches. Its amber eyes were locked on him, full of intelligence and understanding. The tall trainer stepped back, his face pale. "It should attack. It should destroy him. It has destroyed every other handler. Why isn't it attacking?" Evan tilted his head, observing the beast's movements. He could feel its tension, its strength, its intelligence. It was a predator, a killing machine, yet it responded to him. He understood something deeply important. Fear and strength were universal, but so were respect and patience. Slowly he extended his hand just above the beast's head, not touching it, only letting it feel his presence. The beast lowered its head slightly, leaning closer. Its tail curled gently around its legs, and it let out a soft, low rumble. The trainers whispered among themselves, unable to hide their shock. This human had survived where every other species had failed. He had done what no one else could. Evan remained still, his hand hovering. He knew the creature could attack at any moment if he made a mistake, but he did not move, did not flinch. He understood that patience, calm, and understanding could accomplish what weapons never could. The beast shifted slightly, its massive head moving closer. Its eyes were full of recognition, intelligence, and trust. It was listening, learning, and responding. Evan had not forced it. He had earned it. The female trainer whispered, "It is not obedience. It is understanding. It is listening because it wants to, not because it must." Evan nodded slightly. He understood the truth of that. The beast was powerful, dangerous, and intelligent, but it had chosen to respond to him, not out of fear, but out of recognition. The tall trainer stepped back, his hands trembling. This human is dangerous in ways we never understood. He does not fight like others. He does not command like others. And yet, he survives. Evan's eyes remained on the beast. He knew the trainers would try to intervene soon, but for now, he had its attention. He had earned its trust, and that was more than survival. That was victory. The beast lowered its massive head fully, resting it gently on the platform beside Evan's hand. Its amber eyes stayed on him, calm, intelligent, and aware. Evan breathed slowly, matching its rhythm. The other recruits whispered behind the glass. They had never seen a human do anything like this. They'd seen humans fail, seen them weak and fragile, and yet here was one who had survived, earned trust, and tamed the impossible. The tall trainer's face was pale. He could no longer laugh. He could no longer mock. He realized something profound. Humans were not weak. They were something else entirely. Something dangerous when underestimated.
Evan stayed calm.
He knew the test would continue. Stronger creatures, deadlier beasts, and trainers who did not understand what had just happened. But for now, he had survived. And the beast, massive and dangerous, had recognized him. The chamber was silent except for the hum of the lights and the soft rumble of the beast. Evan remained on the platform, aware, calm, and ready. He knew this was only the beginning. The trainers behind the glass were watching, learning. The other recruits were watching, learning. And somewhere deep inside the station, the impossible was becoming real. A human had earned the attention of a creature that no one else had ever controlled. Evan had survived, and the beast had chosen him. Evan stood on the platform, the massive beast at his side, its amber eyes still fixed on him. The air in the chamber was heavy and tense. The other recruits were pressed against the glass, unable to look away. The alien trainers remained silent, their usual confidence gone. This human had done the impossible, and the implications were beginning to sink in. The tall trainer finally broke the silence. "Enough," he said, his voice low and harsh. "End this immediately. Remove the human and the creature." Evan did not move. He kept his eyes on the beast, speaking softly in a calm tone. "Stay calm. Do not react unless I move." The beast shifted slightly, lowering its head closer to him, following his words not because it understood the language, but because it felt the meaning behind the tone. It was not obedience. It was trust. The trainers had never seen this before. One of the younger trainers whispered, "It's not just following him. It's protecting him." The tall trainer's face tightened with anger. He stepped toward the platform, reaching for the controls to open the safety locks. "You cannot—" He started, but he stopped. The beast's eyes flicked toward him, and it growled, low and powerful. The sound reverberated through the chamber. Evan did not flinch. He raised his hand slightly, just a small gesture, and the beast stopped its growl. Its head lowered, but its eyes never left the trainer. The young trainer behind the glass whispered, "It recognizes him as the leader." Not because of fear, but because of calm. The tall trainer clenched his fists. "This is impossible. A human should be weak, fragile, helpless." Evan moved slowly toward the center of the platform. The beast mirrored him, step for step, maintaining a careful distance but never losing focus. The other recruits gasped quietly, whispering to one another. Some of them had handled dangerous creatures before, but none had ever seen anything like this. Suddenly an alarm sounded from the far side of the chamber. Red lights flashed, and a loud voice echoed through the room. "Security breach. Unauthorized movement detected." The trainers stiffened. Some of the other recruits began to panic, but Evan remained calm. The beast growled softly, sensing the tension. Evan spoke to it in a quiet voice, slow and steady. "Stay with me. Don't react unless I tell you." The beast lowered its head and moved closer to Evan, its massive body acting as a shield between him and the source of the alarm. Evan could feel its power beneath the hide, the way it could strike in an instant. He also knew it would not act unless he signaled it. The tall trainer barked into a communicator. "Send in the containment team. Now." "This human is not supposed to survive this test." Evan heard the orders but did not panic. He kept his breathing steady, his movements slow and controlled. The beast adjusted its stance, ready to protect him. Its eyes were locked on him, waiting for any sign, any signal. A small hatch opened on the far side of the chamber, and a team of alien soldiers entered, armed with energy whips and stun devices. They paused when they saw the beast. Its growl was low and warning, not aggressive yet, but filled with power. The soldiers hesitated, unsure how to approach. Evan raised his hand slightly, palm open, and spoke softly. "Stop. Do not harm it. Watch me." The beast's growl stopped. It lowered its massive head slightly, but remained alert. The soldiers exchanged uncertain looks, their weapons trembling in their hands. They had been trained to handle dangerous beasts, but this situation was different. One of the female trainers whispered, "It's listening to him, not to us. It sees him as different." Evan nodded slightly. He could feel the tension in the room, the fear and expectation. The beast's muscles were tense, ready to strike if necessary, but it trusted him. That trust gave Evan an advantage no weapon could. The soldiers advanced slowly, trying to keep a safe distance from the platform. The beast shifted slightly, moving with Evan, maintaining a careful perimeter. Its tail flicked, and its massive claws scratched the metal floor lightly. Evan spoke again, his voice calm and steady. "Do not attack. I am not your enemy. We can control this together. The soldiers froze. The beast growled softly, a warning, and then stepped slightly forward, placing itself between Evan and the approaching team. Its eyes never left him. Evan could feel the energy in the room shift. The trainers were shocked, realizing that humans could form a bond with creatures that no one else could. The tall trainer hissed, his face red with anger and disbelief. Remove him now. You don't understand. That human is dangerous. Evan raised his other hand slowly, keeping his movements smooth and deliberate. The beast mirrored him, lowering its head, its eyes still fixed on the approaching soldiers. Evan spoke softly. Do not strike. Watch me. Follow my lead. The soldiers hesitated, unsure if they should follow orders or defend themselves. The beast growled again, low and threatening. Evan moved slightly forward, and the beast adjusted, moving with him. He was not commanding it, he was guiding it. A younger recruit whispered behind the glass, He's not controlling it. He's communicating. With calm, with presence, with understanding. Evan's gaze was fixed on the soldiers. He could see their uncertainty, their fear. The beast sensed it too. Its tail flicked once, its claws scraped the floor lightly, and it shifted slightly closer to Evan, protecting him without aggression. The tall trainer barked again. Stand down! Stand down immediately! Evan's voice remained calm, soft, but firm. Watch me. Stay calm. Trust me. The beast's massive head moved slightly, pressing closer to him. Its rumble was low, almost approving. The soldiers stopped advancing. They could see that the human had not raised a weapon, had not shown fear, yet the beast followed him willingly. The female trainer whispered, It's not obedience. It's choice. It chooses to follow him because it trusts him. Evan nodded slightly. He could feel the tension, the uncertainty, the fear and respect in the room. The beast remained calm, alert, and protective. This was not dominance. This was understanding, communication without words, a connection that no one else had achieved. The soldiers backed away slowly, realizing that the human could handle the situation without weapons. The beast shifted slightly, lowering its massive head to the platform and its tail curled around its legs. Its eyes were fixed on Evan, waiting for any signal. The tall trainer's face was pale. He had expected fear, panic, or aggression. Instead, he saw calm, control, and trust. This is impossible, he muttered. A human should be weak. It should have died already. Evan remained on the platform, his hand hovering above the beast's head, his breathing slow and steady. He knew the soldiers would not attack, at least not while he remained calm. The beast's presence gave him the advantage. He understood its power, its strength, and its intelligence. He also knew that the trainers and recruits were watching, learning something that would change their understanding forever. The female trainer whispered again, Humans are not weak. They are something else. Something dangerous when underestimated. Evan spoke softly to the beast. Stay with me. Nothing will harm you unless I allow it. Trust me. The beast's head pressed slightly closer to him. Its eyes were wide and intelligent. It rumbled softly, a sound that was both warning and approval. Evan understood. It was listening. It was choosing to stay calm, to protect him, to respond to him without aggression. The tall trainer muttered again, This human is dangerous in ways we do not understand. He does not fight like others. He does not command like others. And yet, he survives. And it listens. Evan's gaze swept the chamber, observing every movement, every reaction. The soldiers had stopped advancing. The other recruits pressed against the glass, wide-eyed and silent. The beast remained at his side, massive and powerful, yet calm and alert. The female trainer whispered, It's more than survival. It's recognition. The beast recognizes him as an equal, a partner. Evan remained still, his hand hovering just above the beast's head. He did not move quickly, did not raise his voice. He only allowed the creature to feel his presence, his calm, his understanding. The beast responded immediately, lowering its massive head, curling its tail, and resting in a position that was both protective and calm. The chamber was silent except for the hum of the lights and the low rumble of the beast. Evan remained on the platform, aware of every detail, every movement, every possibility. He knew this was only the beginning. Stronger tests, deadlier creatures, and trainers who did not understand what had just happened would come next. But for now, he had survived. He had earned trust, and he had shown the power of patience, calm, and understanding. The other recruits whispered behind the glass, amazed. They had seen humans fail, seen them fragile, seen them weak. But here was one who had survived, earned trust, and faced the impossible. The tall trainer remained silent, realizing that humans were not weak. They were something else entirely, something dangerous one underestimated. Evan stayed calm. The beast stayed calm. And together, they had survived what no other recruit could. The chamber was still, the lights hummed, the beast rumbled softly, and somewhere deep inside the station, the impossible had become real. A human had survived, not by force, not by fear, but by understanding. Evan stood on the platform, the massive beast at his side, calm and alert. The chamber had quieted after the standoff with the containment team. The other recruits pressed their faces against the glass, watching, learning. The trainers were silent, still struggling to understand what had just happened. They had expected fear, panic, or aggression. Instead, they had witnessed trust, patience, and understanding. But Evan knew this was not over. He had survived the first test, but stronger challenges awaited. A deep rumble shook the platform, not from the beast, but from the walls around him. A hidden panel opened, revealing a shadowed hallway that the recruits had not seen before. The tall trainer's lips tightened. "This is the next phase," he said quietly. "Only one human has ever survived what comes next, and none have ever returned to tell the story." Evan did not flinch. He had no idea what waited in the shadows, but he did know fear would not help. He looked down at the beast beside him. Its massive head rested near his feet, but its eyes followed every movement of the new opening. It spoke softly. "Stay close. Watch me. Trust me." The beast shifted slightly, moving even closer to Evan, ready to react to anything. Its muscles rippled beneath its thick hide. The other recruits gasped quietly. The power in the room was immense, but calm flowed from Evan like a shield. The shadowed hallway grew brighter as the lights flickered on. A new creature stepped out. It was massive, larger than the first beast. Its skin was dark and armored, reflecting the red lights of the chamber. Its eyes glowed faintly, intelligent and sharp. Every movement it made was calculated. This was not an ordinary creature. It had survived battles, defeats, and traps, and it had killed every handler sent to control it. The trainers whispered among themselves. "This is the classified entity. No one controls it. No one survives its tests." Evan's heart beat faster, but he did not show it. He stayed calm, matching his breathing to the rhythm of the beast at his side. The first creature growled softly, low and warning. He had sensed the danger. Evan knew the beast would defend him if necessary, but he also knew that brute force alone would not be enough. The new entity stepped forward, its massive claws scraping the floor. It sniffed the air, its glowing eyes flicking from Evan to the beast at his side. It let out a deep, resonant growl. The sound shook the chamber. The trainers leaned forward, their faces pale. Even they were afraid of what this creature could do. Evan took a small step forward, calm and deliberate. The beast mirrored him, shifting slightly, muscles coiled and ready. Evan spoke softly, his voice low but firm. "You are not my enemy. I do not wish to fight you. Watch me. Understand me." The new entity paused. Its glowing eyes narrowed. It tilted its head, studying Evan. The trainers whispered. "It recognizes intelligence. It's trying to understand him." The creature stepped closer, its massive claws scraping against the metal platform. It moved with confidence, every step measured. Evan did not move backward. He did not flinch. He only stayed calm, his hand hovering near the first beast, not touching it, only signaling presence. The entity growled again, louder this time. Its eyes locked on Evan. The trainers stepped back slightly. Some of the recruits pressed their hands against the glass. They had seen dangerous creatures before, but this one was different. It was intelligent, it was deadly, and it had no master. Evan tilted his head slightly. He did not shout, did not command. He only spoke softly, slowly. "You do not have to fight. You do not have to strike. Watch me. See me." The entity blinked slowly. It moved closer, cautious but curious. The first beast growled low, warning, and stepped slightly in front of Evan. It was ready to protect him, but Evan did not signal aggression. He only showed calm. The new creature paused, sensing the tension. A young recruit whispered to another, "It's listening? I don't understand. How can it listen?" The other recruit shook their head. "Humans are different. He's not trying to force it. He's showing something else." Evan took another step forward. The beast at his side mirrored him. The new entity growled again, a deep rumble that filled the chamber. It shifted its massive body, circling slowly, studying Evan. Its claws left deep scratches on the platform. Its eyes flicked toward the trainers, then back to Evan. Evan spoke softly again. I do not seek to harm you. I only want to understand. I only want you to see me. The new creature tilted its head, its glowing eyes narrowing. It made a low hissing sound. It was testing him, trying to understand his intentions. Evan stayed calm, breathing slowly, keeping his posture relaxed. The first beast growled low but stayed beside him. It trusted him, and that trust was powerful. The trainers whispered nervously, "No one has ever done this. No one has survived this phase. It is impossible." Evan slowly raised his hand, palm open, not as a threat but as a signal of peace. The new creature's eyes flicked to the movement. It growled, low and cautious, then slowly lowered its massive head. Its body remained tense, ready to strike if necessary, but it did not attack. The other recruits pressed closer to the glass. They had seen humans fail many times. They had seen others die trying to control creatures like this. Yet here was Evan, small and calm, standing in front of the deadliest entity in the station, and it had paused. Evan spoke again, his voice steady and soft. "You do not have to fight. You do not have to destroy me. Watch me. Understand me. You are not alone." The entity blinked, its glowing eyes focusing on him. It tilted its head slightly. It made a short, low rumble. The trainers were silent. None of them had ever seen a creature respond like this. It was as if it understood something beyond force, beyond strength. Evan took a careful step forward. The first beast mirrored him, stepping slightly in front, a shield and companion. The new entity moved slowly, circling, studying him. It sniffed the air, tilted its head, and made a low hiss, almost like a question. Evan tilted his head in response, soft and calm. He did not shout, did not threaten. He only showed presence, calmness, and understanding. The entity blinked slowly, its massive head moving closer. The female trainer whispered, "It's recognizing him." Not as a master, but as something else. Something it understands. Evan nodded slightly. He could feel the power in the room, the danger, the tension. He could also feel trust growing between him and the first beast. That bond gave him strength, and it allowed the new entity to pause. The entity moved closer, its claws scraping the platform, but it did not attack. Its glowing eyes were locked on Evan, studying, calculating, aware. Every instinct in the chamber told it to strike, yet it did not. Evan spoke softly. "You are strong. You are powerful. But you do not need to fight me. You can choose to watch, to learn." The entity rumbled low again. Its massive body shifted, circling slowly. It lowered its head slightly. The first beast growled softly, warning, but did not attack. Evan remained calm, his hand hovering slightly above the first beast, signaling presence. The trainers whispered nervously, "No human should survive this. No human should ever face this and live. And yet, here he is." Evan tilted his head slightly. He could feel the intelligence of the new creature, its awareness, its danger. Yet he remained calm. He understood something the trainers did not. Fear controlled the untrained, but calm guided the intelligent. The new entity stepped closer, its glowing eyes fixed on him. Its massive claws scraped the platform, leaving deep marks. Its head lowered slightly, and it made a soft, questioning hiss. Evan spoke again, soft and steady. "I do not seek to harm you. I only want you to see me. You are not alone. You are not trapped. Watch me and understand me." The entity blinked, its massive head tilting slightly. It lowered itself, resting its weight on its massive legs. Its tail flicked once, softly, and it rumbled low. The first beast shifted slightly, moving closer to Evan, protective but calm. The female trainer whispered, "It is not obedience. It is recognition. It is listening because it chooses to, not because it is forced." Evan nodded slowly. He knew the creature could attack at any moment. He also knew that calm, understanding, and patience were more powerful than fear or force. The entity had chosen to pause. It had chosen to observe. It had chosen to recognize him. The trainers were frozen. They had never seen anything like this. A human, small and fragile by their standards, had faced the deadliest creature in the station and survived, not by fighting, not by force, but by calm, understanding, and presence. Evan remained calm. He knew this was only the beginning. Stronger tests and deadlier creatures would come. But for now, he had survived the impossible. He had gained the attention of a creature that no one else could control, and he had done it without a single weapon. The chamber was silent except for the low rumble of the entity and the soft breathing of the first beast. Evan stood on the platform, aware, calm, and ready. He had survived again, and the impossible had become real. Evan stood on the platform, the first beast beside him, calm and alert, and the massive new entity just across from him, its glowing eyes fixed on him. The chamber was quiet except for the low rumble of the two creatures and the soft hum of the lights above. The other recruits pressed their faces to the glass, wide-eyed and silent. The alien trainers were frozen, unable to move, speak, or even breathe normally. They had expected fear, panic, aggression, or failure. Instead, they saw calm, presence, and understanding. The tall trainer's face was pale. His usual arrogance was gone, replaced by a mixture of disbelief and fear. He muttered under his breath, "It should not be possible. Humans cannot survive this. No one survives this." Evan did not respond. He had learned long ago that humans did not need to speak to be understood. The creatures were listening in ways the trainers could not comprehend. The first beast shifted slightly, its massive head following Evan's movements, protective but calm. The new entity tilted its glowing head, sniffing the air, analyzing every detail, studying him, waiting. Evan took a slow step forward, his hand hovering slightly above the first beast, signaling presence but not command. The entity stepped forward as well, moving with caution, every step measured, powerful, and intelligent. Its tail flicked once, scratching deep marks into the platform. The trainers whispered among themselves, their voices low and uncertain. The female trainer murmured, "It is not fear. It is recognition. It recognizes him as something different." Evan tilted his head slightly and spoke softly, calm and steady. "I do not seek to fight you. I do not seek to harm you. You do not need to attack. Watch me. See me. Understand me." The massive entity blinked slowly. Its claws scraped the metal floor as it shifted, circling carefully. Its glowing eyes never left him. The first beast growled softly, warning, but it did not attack. Evan remained calm, steady, and aware. Every muscle, every breath, every movement was controlled, deliberate, and calm. The other recruits whispered behind the glass, "I've never seen a human do anything like this. He's not commanding it, he's connecting with it." Evan nodded slightly. He knew the entity could attack at any moment. Its power was unmatched. Its intelligence was beyond most species. And yet he stayed calm. Calmness was his weapon. Calmness was his strength. Calmness allowed him to communicate without words. The entity tilted its head again, rumbled softly, and lowered itself slightly. Its massive body tensed, ready to strike if necessary. But it did not. It was curious. It was calculating. It was recognizing. Evan took another careful step forward. The first beast mirrored him, moving slightly in front of him, a shield and companion. The entity stepped closer, circling slowly, keeping its glowing eyes locked on Evan. Its tail flicked, scratching deep marks, but it remained cautious, patient, aware. The tall trainer whispered, more to himself than anyone else, "It is listening. It is not obeying. It is understanding. A human, he is dangerous in ways I never imagined." Evan spoke softly again. "You are strong. You are powerful. But you do not need to fight me. You do not need to destroy me. Watch me. Understand me. You are not alone." The entity blinked slowly, its massive head moving slightly closer. It rumbled low, a sound that was part question, part acknowledgement. The first beast growled softly, but it remained at Evan's side, calm and alert. The other recruits whispered nervously, "He's not controlling it. He's communicating. He's showing presence. Calm, understanding. That's what it's responding to." Evan tilted his head slightly and continued to move slowly, carefully, deliberately. He did not show fear. He did not raise his hand aggressively. He only moved with awareness, with patience, with calm. The entity circled him once more, analyzing, calculating, understanding. The tall trainer stepped back, realizing that no weapon, no energy whip, no force could change what was happening. A human, small and fragile by most standards, had survived the deadliest test in the station. And more than survive, he had earned recognition from a creature that no other species had ever controlled. Evan raised his hand slowly, palm open, signaling peace. The entity blinked and lowered its massive head slightly. Its tail flicked gently, curling closer to its body. The first beast remained beside him, protective but calm. The female trainer whispered, "It is not obedience. It is choice. It is listening because it chooses to, not because it is forced." Evan nodded slowly. He could feel the intelligence, the awareness, and the danger of the massive entity. Yet he stayed calm. Calm allowed him to survive. Calm allowed him to communicate. Calm allowed him to connect with something that no one else could reach. The entity stepped closer, its glowing eyes fixed on him. Its claws scraped the platform. It lowered its massive head, but it did not attack. It was waiting, it was studying, it was listening. Evan spoke softly. I do not wish to harm you. I do not seek to control you. You can choose. You can stay calm. You can understand. Watch me. The entity blinked slowly and rumbled, a deep sound that echoed through the chamber. The first beast growled softly, protective, but did not attack. Evan remained calm, steady, aware. He understood something profound. Strength alone did not command. Fear alone did not dominate. Calm, presence, understanding, these could achieve what brute force never could. The entity moved closer still, circling slowly, massive claws leaving deep marks, its glowing eyes fixed on him. The other recruits whispered excitedly behind the glass. They had seen humans fail, seen humans weak and fragile. And yet here was one standing before impossible danger, calm and steady, earning recognition from a creature no other species could handle. Evan tilted his head slightly, breathing slowly. He did not raise his hand aggressively. He only showed calm, awareness, and presence. The entity blinked slowly and lowered its head slightly. Its rumble was low, acknowledging. The first beast remained at his side, protective but calm. The tall trainer whispered, It is not fear. It is understanding. Humans, they are something else, something dangerous when underestimated. Evan spoke softly again. You are strong. You are powerful. But you do not need to strike. You do not need to attack. You can stay calm. You can learn. Watch me. See me. Trust me. The entity blinked slowly, its massive head lowering, its claws scraping lightly. It was listening. It was learning. It was responding. The first beast growled softly, but stayed at Evan's side. The chamber was silent except for the low rumble of the two creatures and the hum of the lights. The trainers were frozen. The recruits pressed their faces against the glass, silent with awe. Evan stood calm, aware, and ready. He understood something no one else had realized. Humans did not need to be the strongest. They did not need to dominate with force. They had patience. They had understanding. They had presence. And when the galaxy underestimated them, humans could survive the impossible. The entity blinked, lowered its massive head, and rumbled softly, almost approvingly. The first beast pressed closer to Evan. He nodded slightly. They had recognized him. They trusted him, and he had survived again. The trainers whispered among themselves. A human has done what no other species could. He survived the impossible. He earned recognition from creatures we cannot control. Evan remained calm. He could feel the intelligence and awareness of the entity. He could feel the power and loyalty of the first beast. He knew stronger tests could come. Deadlier creatures could appear, and trainers could challenge him further. But for now, he had survived. He had earned trust. He had shown what humans could do when underestimated. The other recruits whispered, wide-eyed and silent. They had learned something new. They had learned that humans were not weak. They were something else entirely. Something dangerous when underestimated. The tall trainer finally stepped back, silent, his face pale and tense. He could no longer mock. He could no longer laugh. He could only watch. The human had survived. The impossible had been done, and the galaxy would never see humans the same way again. Evan stood calm, steady, aware. The first beast remained at his side. The massive entity blinked slowly, its glowing eyes fixed on him, intelligent and aware. The impossible had been achieved. Humans had been underestimated. Humans had survived. Humans had been recognized. And somewhere deep inside the station, unseen by most, the impossible had become real. Humanity had survived the deadliest test. Humanity had earned recognition where no other species could. Humanity had been underestimated and had proven why that was a mistake.